I'm the first person in my family to own a business. And not only do I want to be an example for my family, but because I do have access to so many pockets of community and younger generations, I want to be an example that you can own a business, and you can like do multiple things. Like if you want to have a corporate job and own a business, or you want to be an artist and have a business, like you don't have to just do one thing. So I think that's played a lot into how I built my business and why I'm very vocal about it and sharing my story, because you never know who it's going to resonate with.
Welcome back to Beyond the Brand. Today, I have somebody that I've admired for a long time, Nikisha Bailey. We met back in, I don't even know how
During
long.
the pandemic.
During the pandemic.
2020, 2021?
Yeah. We did Goldman Sachs 10K Small Business Program, and, we've stayed in touch. She's a professor, a connector, a strategist, and also the coffee whisperer behind Win-Win Coffee. And she's been recognized by many. But most recently, an honoree at the Chiefs 2025 New Era of Leadership Awards. Please welcome Nikisha Bailey to Beyond the Brand, and I appreciate you all coming by and stopping by again. So for those who don't know who Nikisha is, if you could please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Yes, I like that coffee whisperer. Thank you, Majorie. Also, the admiration is mutual. Majorie, I love what you're doing with Minutemen. You've built an incredible business and brand yourself. And I'm just happy to be able to share this moment with you in the audience. So a little bit about me. As Majorie mentioned, I'm an entrepreneur, founder. I have a coffee business called Win-Win Coffee, where we focus on coffees of the African diaspora. But prior to my journey in coffee, I worked in the music industry for a long time. I started off as an intern at Atlantic Records at about 2011 and worked myself up to vice president of the A&R operations department. Always had a passion for community and bringing people together, and I didn't really know what that was at the time. I just know I had had all these different facets of my life, from music, from doing volunteer work, from doing nonprofit work, and I just knew a lot of cool people. And so I've always just been very good on bringing my community together, whether it is in music or coffee or with in leadership with Executive Women in Chief. And so, I started in the music industry during the pandemic, like a lot of people. I was like, I don't know if I really like this 9 to 5 and working for other people. I started the coffee business as an e-commerce business just because I had the time, and it did pretty well. And then I learned more about coffee, and the business kept doing well, and the brand kept growing. And I was like, oh, I might actually have something. And so I left my corporate job right around that Goldman Sachs time, so around 2021, 2022, to do this full time. But also, because I do the most always, I always wanted to teach. And I've learned that you shouldn't put limitations on yourself. Like if you like a lot of things, you owe it to yourself to try those things. And so I spoke at an event at Drexel about myself in the music industry. I spoke to the head of the department, and I was like, I've always wanted to teach. And he was like, do you want to teach here? And I was like, yeah. So that's how that began. So I do a lot of things, but it's all rooted in community and bringing people together.
See, she calls herself a professional pivoter, and in the conversation that we just had right there, she mentioned how many times did you pivot? 3 times?
Yes.
She pivoted from working at Atlantic, pivoted from that. She went to being a teacher, and then even started coffee.
Yes. Who knows what's next?
Who knows what's next? And like I said, she even travels the world. She might.
Yeah.
No, so that's amazing, because I always, I see you all the time going to all these different music events, and I always was just wondering, which one was the pivot, That's why I was always wondering.
So this is the thing.
Did coffee come first, or
the thing too? I worked in the music industry for so long, so I still sit on the board for the Grammys. So even though I'm not doing music as my day-to-day job, I still have that network and that community, and that's probably my highest honor, because members of the music industry have to vote you to be a board member. And so, like I said, when you do good things, all rooted in community, it serves you for your best in the end.
Yeah. So what did you learn from working with Atlantic that, gave you the confidence to say, hey, I could take on, Win-Win and start this business? And When did you even realize that you wanted to start Win-Win? How did that come about?
So it's interesting. I think when I'd never Atlantic was like my first real job. My family didn't have a history of working in corporate America, so I never really had that experience. But I just got in there and I wanted to learn everything. So even though I worked in the A&R department, I would go sit with the lawyers and ask them to read me the contract so I could understand what they really did. Yeah. And then I would go sit with the finance people and be like, okay, so how are royalties paid? I would go sit with the marketing people. Like, okay, so what is marketing? Yeah. So I was like already just kind of taking up all that information because I wanted to know how it works. And I think that's kind of the fundamentals of being an entrepreneur. You just want to know more and you want to do more. And so after working in the industry for 10 years, you kind of already build up that entrepreneurial skill set. You're just doing it within a company and not for yourself. And so Win-Win actually already existed in Philly. It was a bar on Spring Garden, and my business partner and I acquired it in 2019. But then the pandemic happened, and we were like, oh snap, we got a bar, but we can't have people come into the coffee bar. And so that's when we developed our first product, which if you search online, you'll find it was a very rough bag, like my Frankenstein first bag of coffee. But we sold like 3,000 bags online just from posting on Instagram. And so we're like, okay, maybe we can really do something. And I didn't even know much about the supply chain for coffee at the time. I just like to drink coffee. Yeah. And so I started learning about coffee, the origin, how Africa is the only continent and grows naturally, the supply chain. And that's when we decided where we wanted to pivot and focus on becoming a coffee brand and move away from the coffee bar.
So how did you go about getting, I guess, researching and knowing like exactly what beans to? So this is somebody I know nothing about coffee. I think I probably drank coffee like once in my life.
Really?
I just
you already got the energy.
I wake up and I'm ready to go. So how did you go about knowing like, hey, this is the exact bean or I guess country that I want to source from?
So I took some training classes, but the thing about me is I ask people everything. I've learned to always just ask my community, even if it's like a really wild request. So I started asking people in my music network, because I was still working in music. I was like, hey, does anyone know anything about importing coffee? And people were like, oh, my family has a farm in Tanzania. My family has a farm in Ethiopia. I was like, y'all just sitting on this and you never share this? They're like, well, we work in music. Why we talk about it? And so I just started talking to my network, and then I got led to different people. And then I just started immersing myself, like taking the classes and learning about the supply chain and doing some traveling to origin trips. And still learning a lot as I go. Like, I met some incredible people. Like, I met the founder of La Colombe, who has a long history at a very successful company. And again, just learning and meeting people and building that community, because I know I don't know everything. Yeah. But I put myself in places where I can be adjacent to people who I can learn from.
So what type of classes does one take to...
So there's something called the Specialty Coffee Association, which is a membership organization for coffee professionals. They do a big conference every year, and they offer classes. So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri originally. I went back home during the pandemic to be with my family, and I took roasting classes there. So I learned how to roast there. I took classes on learning green coffee and how to import coffee. They have like every type of class there for you to take.
So, are you making the coffee yourself? Because you said you know how to roast it. So, are you doing it all yourself?
Not all myself. Okay. I have some co-roasters, but I pop in, a couple times a month. Okay. Roast it.
You're doing it in Philadelphia, right?
Yes, we do it right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Because you just acquired. Because I remember the last time, or one of the times we were spoken, you were talking about you were trying to get a building.
Yes.
And so that's what the building is for.
Yes, it's to bring it back inside of Philly. Okay. Although we kind of like the rent prices outside of Philly. Yeah. I don't know, but
it's expensive to
have a business here.
Have a business in Philly. Yeah. So that's really cool. So when you acquired the business and when you acquired the coffee bar, so it was a coffee bar.
It was called Win-Win Coffee Bar on 9th and Spring Garden. Okay. They were a coffee shop, they were a bar, they were an event space, they were everything.
So what made you decide on Win-Win then? Like, why did you say, oh, this is the name? And did you have any different names that you wanted to go with, or that one just kind of
So it
stuck to you?
already had the name Win-Win
Win-Win.
Coffee
Okay.
Bar.
Okay.
And so we just kind of, and theirs was rooted in sustainability, which was, I think it meant like waste not, want not. So they like did W/N, W/N. But when we were like doing the coffee brand, we were like, okay, we're focusing on coffees of the African diaspora, introducing people to African coffees, because you don't really see a lot of single origin African coffees, and single origin mean that it's only one bean. A lot of coffees are mixed, and so that like it doesn't bring down the quality, but it doesn't give you like an accurate depiction of the true flavor profile, in my opinion. And African coffees are the best coffees.
No.
Africa's the best at a lot of things.
Yeah.
But and so we're like, okay, so we're focusing on the African diaspora while bringing incredible coffees to our community. So it's a win-win. So it just
Oh,
kind of stuck,
okay.
yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I like that. I like that. So what was the hardest part about getting the product to actually exist?
The hardest part, I would say the hardest part, I think is always, it's sometimes just like trusting that you can actually do it. Because it might take time, like, to get your bags. I remember the first time we imported, like, our coffee bags from China, and it took forever.
Yeah.
But there's nothing you can really do about that but update your customers and people who might be waiting on the fresh batch of orders that might be delayed. But I think it's just trusting in yourself that you can actually do it and pull it off.
Yeah. Because I mean, that's pretty tough to, I mean, get that in terms of like a product just through
You have to get the
reality, right?
coffee, you got to roast it, you got to get the bags, you got to design the bags,
Yeah.
you got to do all the things. But I think it goes back to just wanting to figure things out and knowing more.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know, the first time we got bags, we paid so much for them. I didn't realize I could go
it cheaper.
overseas
Yeah.
and get them cheaper and bring
Yeah.
down my margins.
And was the branding always pink?
It was always pink.
Always
Yeah.
pink. Even with the,
Yeah.
the bar before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's fun. You don't see a lot of coffee bags that are pink, so we wanted to keep it like a bright, fun brand. And then the logo is actually a Adinkra symbol.
Yeah.
So it's like the cross section of a tree is what it's supposed to be. And it stands for ritual. And coffee is like the biggest ritual in the world.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like there was a time that this was not working? Or I know you said you had sold 3,000 off Instagram. Obviously, I don't think it's been years now. I don't think Instagram is your source
Yeah.
anymore. I know you're out in you're in different supermarkets
Yes.
now.
So we're in retail, we have wholesale, we do B2B. Is there ever a moment that I don't think I could do this every day? Actually, every day I'm like, okay, okay. But I think it's just you figure it out. You're an entrepreneur. You ask for help. It's okay to like not be on point every day.
Yeah.
You show up at your best, but if things don't work out, you pivot and figure out how to make it work out.
Yeah. So I mean, in such a crowded space, like, how do you think Win-Win, really stands out? Like,
I think it goes back to being rooted in community. Similar to when I worked in music, I would tell artists, you gotta own where you're from first before you go out into other markets. You could be a viral hit, which, okay, that's great, but you need that community to back you. Like when you go on tour, when you have like a new drop, when you have a new song. The same for my coffee brand. Like Philadelphia has been so great to us, like these past like 5 years, like in terms of helping us get into retail, helping us get B2B partners. Like you're my printing partner. So it's like, again, being rooted in community, I think has been really important in helping us like own this market here.
So are you outside of Philadelphia right now in the moment in your wholesaling?
Yes, so we're in some businesses in New York, and then we're in Wegmans in South Jersey, and then working on Whole Foods for 2027.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
See, when we first did the Goldman Sachs program, I thought I wanted to just go into Whole Foods right away, but I was not ready for Whole Foods.
Okay.
Like
It's because it's larger scale?
larger scale, just a larger scale, and I feel like I wouldn't have been ready for it.
Yeah. Man, it's tough. You have to kind of like pick. You have to like pick the markets that you want to kind of attack first. You know, that's one thing about being in business is like, you know, even with me, I'm like, oh, I want to do all of nationwide, but it's like realistically, it's like, are you ready to do nationwide and
Yeah.
start shipping everywhere and try to coordinate every single place
Yeah.
that you're working on. So how much are you usually shipping? Like what systems are you using to kind of coordinate all of that?
So for shipping, we just use we have people that like work in the warehouse, and so they do the shipping for us. The majority of our shipping does go to the East Coast. We have a few West Coast partners, but we ship out twice a week.
Yeah.
We do deliveries once a week, um, maybe twice a week if we have like a higher volume. But we're a pretty small team still. We have
Yeah.
like 6 people in total.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
keeping it very lean.
Keeping it very
Yeah.
lean, yeah. You'll see me sometimes do a delivery myself,
That's awesome.
but you know,
You have to be in the, that's part of being in the community, right? You
yeah,
have to, show the face of your business partners, and
yeah,
she does the pickups herself every time she comes to pick up the marketing as well, and
yes.
marketing products. So that's pretty cool. So do you feel like black ownership or cultural relevance plays a role in how you've built your brand?
It definitely has. I'm the first person in my family to own a business. And not only do I want to be an example for my family, but because I do have access to so many pockets of community and younger generations, I want to be an example that you can own a business, and you can like do multiple things. Like if you want to have a corporate job and own a business, or you want to be an artist and have a business, like
Yeah.
you don't have to just do one thing. Um, so I think that's played a lot into how I built my business and why I'm very vocal about it and sharing my story,
Yeah.
because you never know who it's going to resonate with.
Yeah. I mean, what are some things that you kind of like learned from building a business as well and building the brand?
That professional pivoter that you mentioned earlier, it's okay to make
Yeah.
mistakes. One thing they always say is that the only constant in life is change. Like things are going to always change, but you just have to be prepared to embrace that change. And to do it scared. If something's scaring you, then you should probably lean into it and be doing it.
Yeah. The thing about change is it's like, yeah, I mean, you just have to. You can't be ready for it,
No.
right? You can't be ready for it, and I mean that's one thing about being an entrepreneur. You can wake up one day and like everybody calls out, and
Everything, it's the
everything's
different
called.
change,
Yeah,
yes. And even, okay, this is funny. So I woke up this morning and I was so mad that my iOS updated on its own overnight,
Yeah, yeah.
and the whole thing is different. And I was like,
I can't find anything.
I was like, I can't use my phone
Yeah,
today.
yeah,
I was so mad in that moment, but I was like, I got to use a phone.
yeah,
Like, change it. Like, be upset or be whatever in that moment, but just move through it, move past it.
yeah. And I'm sure even your customer base and the people that you work with as well have been helpful in growing the business and telling you what's working and giving you feedback. What's the best or bad feedback that you've gotten that you're like, okay, I need to implement this and change this, and it's helped you take your brand to the next level?
So this, I'll say his name. So Todd Carmichael from La Cologne, one of the co-founders, was like, do not take on any outside investment right now. You're doing good. You have revenue. You're able to pay your bills. You're making a profit. And I was in the middle of fundraising, and he was like, do not take any outside like VC money. Like if you're gonna raise, do it like with like a friends and family round. Don't go look for institutional capital right now, or
Okay.
go to a bank and get a loan.
So you haven't gotten any loan for Win-Win right now?
We haven't taken on any outside capital. I've been thinking about doing a raise, like just to scale up to get to the next level, so we can. But that's something I've been toying with for the past year.
What would be the next level for you?
The next level would be, I would love, again, that Whole Foods, so that's
Okay,
coming
yeah,
next year.
yeah.
So having the capacity to do that. And then a canned beverage, like a canned cold coffee beverage.
I don't think I've ever. I've seen like little ones like that, like the shots.
Yeah, you know the La Cologne? Are you familiar with them?
I'm not like I said.
Oh, yeah, you
I'm
don't
not
drink coffee. You don't
I'm
drink
not a
coffee,
coffee
yeah.
person, but I'm sure I've seen it. I mean, I think I've seen like Starbucks do something.
Yeah,
like
Starbucks
that.
has a
Yeah.
can. So La Cologne got famous for their cans. So they're Philly based. They were a coffee company for like 25 years. And then they sold to Chobani 2 years ago
Okay.
for like $900 million
Oh wow.
because of that canned coffee.
Coffee is like that. Like, yeah,
Yes,
coffee is
that's
like
what I
that.
was
Yeah,
like.
there's a lot of money in coffee. Everybody,
Yes.
the people that drink coffee, they're like, it's like a drug.
It is.
It's like
It is.
I mean, it is a
It's
drug. Yeah,
caffeine.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
a drug. But I'm like, the way you guys talk about coffee, I'm like, gotta need help.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's,
what do you mean you can't
and
just,
some people
you
are
have to
so
drink coffee?
particular about their coffee. Like,
Yeah,
I have to have a cup every morning when I wake
yeah,
up. I used to drink a lot more, but I had to cut back because my
yeah,
heart was
yeah,
being a
yeah.
little too fast.
Yeah, I mean, you go wake up and you go. I'm like, if I drink coffee, I'm like, people, they won't be able to stand me because I already come in here way too hyped. And I'm like, all right,
Like, give that man some,
you need to chill.
give that man some decaf.
Yeah, literally. So how'd you land your first like wholesale and retail shop?
So my first wholesale partner came from PayPal. So during their office in New York. So during the pandemic, I was applying for a lot of grants, and I got a grant through PayPal. I reached out and like met the team, and then when like their offices opened up, they invited us to come up to New York and to do like a coffee tasting for them.
Yeah.
And it was just like a very organic experience. And so we built that relationship, and then we were like, okay, what coffee are you using? They're like, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, you should use Win-Win Coffee. And so that's how that started. And then I went back to some of the old music companies I worked for. So like Warner, Atlantic, Def Jam. I was like, you guys should be having my coffee. I just started asking, like, you should be carrying the coffee. And then for the chief clubhouses, there are 5 across the U.S., started building the reputation with them when I was a member. And then I just hit one of the founders. I was like, can we put my coffee in the clubhouses? And she was like, yes. So it's been a lot of just asking the networks I'm already in and then getting that word of mouth. Our first retail actually came from, who was it? Lever's Way. They reached out because they loved our mission and vision. They were like, we want to carry your coffee in the stores. We're having people ask about it. Can we get you on the shelf? And so that's how that began. And then for Giant, we had some support from, there's an organization in Philly called the Economy League, and they initially made the first intro for us in Giant. That process took like a year and a half. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But we got on the shelf, and then, yeah.
Giant is not franchise owned, right? They have their actual it's just
Yeah.
like one corporation. Because I know like Acme, is it Acme or who's the one guy that owns it?
ShopRite?
Yeah, ShopRite.
Yeah.
Okay, they're a franchise, so I know you can just you
Yeah,
have to reach out to the
ShopRite. Yeah,
franchise
Giant's just a big
corporation.
whatever. And so yeah, we went and we picked
Yeah.
6 locations to be in Philly. So
Okay, I was like, I could see how that would take a long time.
yes,
To
and
kinda,
then
like,
I
push
learned
through.
they only flip the shelves twice a year. So for new brands to get on, like,
Yeah.
so if you miss that window, you
have
gotta
to
wait
wait.
till the end of the year.
Okay.
So we had just missed one of the windows too, so we had to wait another 6 months.
So I know this. I mean, is there a lot of people that look like you in your space?
There's some. There's not enough,
Yeah.
but there's some. There's some cool coffee companies. There's this coffee company in Memphis called Coffee Black that's doing something really cool. I actually have a friend in music that started a coffee company called No Free Coffee. They do cool stuff. It's like coffee lifestyle, and it's like very artsy. But there's some cool coffee companies out there
Yeah.
that are owned by Black and brown
Like,
people.
okay. What about women on it as well?
There are a few.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the community responded to that?
The community's been great. I've had a lot of people who've worked in coffee for years reach out and be like, hey, if you ever need any help. One of my mentors is this guy called Jeff Watts. He's the founder of Intelligentsia, which is one of my favorite coffee brands based out of Chicago. And I've been able to build like a direct rapport and connection with him.
Okay.
And so the community's been very welcoming.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's a print. I'm not even going to talk about the printing community. So you're running a business, teaching at Drexel, also contributing to the culture through music and media, and still showing up for your community as well. From the outside, it looks seamless, but what does your actual day-to-day look like?
Very busy. Like every hour is planned out. Although So this first half of the year, these first 3 months, I'm leaving my Fridays kind of loose so I can like do things, try out a new restaurant in Philly or go, whatever. But I normally wake up at 6 a.m., 8 a.m. on the weekends, and I just go
Yeah.
and just get it done.
Are there any non-negotiables in your routine? I know you just said you started to cut, you leave your Fridays open. Is there anything else that you do in terms of trying to reset and get your mind right to take on the day, the week, and
I try to enjoy my weekends and actually have a weekend.
yeah,
And so, like, I did a post earlier this week on being at ease. And so, trying to just be easy about, like, how I spend my time on the weekends, like my mental health, like, and actually just trying to, like, shut my brain off for a little bit.
yeah,
And also, like, in general, I feel like as an entrepreneur, and also I think it's just something, because I'm naturally just like, I like to get things done, but everything doesn't have to be done right away. That's how you burn yourself out.
you have to prioritize.
Yeah, it's okay to prioritize. It's okay to space things out. It's okay. You don't have to do everything right here, right now. And so that's something that at my big age, I'm starting to really practice this year.
So how are you prioritizing everything? Even with, teaching, I'm sure do you have to grade?
Yes.
You have to grade. You have to you have to probably come out with like your whole what do you call your whole syllabus?
Syllabus, yeah.
Yeah, you have to come up with that. So how do you like find the time to kind of like balance all of
You
that?
put it in your calendar, and if it fits, it fits. If not, you move it to the next day.
Like, because that's like I've talked to you about that. That's something I would like to do as well. Is do you want to tell the audience what type of class you teach?
Yeah, so I teach in the music industry program at Drexel University. This term, I'm actually teaching entrepreneurship and marketing in the music industry, but I'll teach like artist publishing, I'll teach like music marketing, I'll teach record label operations, so a bunch of different classes. But also a secret to my scheduling is having somebody to support my schedule. So my admin is like top tier.
Shout out to Rhea.
Shout out to Rhea. Rhea be like, boop, boop, like, and then like at the end of the week, she'll send me like a list of things that I need to act on, like action items. So it's worth if you're able to have like a support like that, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
It keeps me on task.
Yeah, I'm sure because it's like if you start trying to manage every single thing yourself, you're gonna like there's gonna be missing gaps. And,
Yeah.
You're not gonna put every single thing
And
on the
you're just,
calendar.
you could just forget.
Yeah.
That happens. We
Yeah.
forget.
Yeah, you schedule an event. It's like, I
Yeah.
just looked at my calendar. Looks like I'm not making it to this event. Yeah, so you're actively shaping your students. How do you, what kind of impact do you want from them when you're taking your class?
When they take a class with me, I want to give them the skills and the resources they need to learn whatever we're learning in the class. But I want them to just feel like they have a connection to the music industry already. Mm-hmm. I want them to feel free and comfortable to ask any type of questions they want. And I want them to understand that, if they don't find success in the music industry right away or even at all, it's okay. Yeah. It's a very competitive industry. And not everybody's going to become an executive. Not everybody's going to become a top artist or producer. But it's okay. Like, go after your dreams, give it some time. But also, if you have other interests, look into those as well, too.
Yeah. Do you have a why for why you do it in terms of going in there every day or?
I love Gen Z. Their energy is incredible. I feel like they keep me humbled. And there's just something about seeing like young people who haven't all the way their views haven't been skewed by the world, and they're so hopeful, and they've got that drive, and they're ready to go at it. Like,
how long have you been teaching now?
It's 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. What have you taken from that in terms of? Yeah, what have you taken from that in terms of just teaching in general?
I think for me, I already knew this, but it reinforced the fact that not everyone knows everything. Yeah. And I think I had to realize the actual audience I'm dealing with they just haven't experienced a lot of life.
Yeah.
And their lives are different. And so how I talk to them and how we communicate is going to have to be different. So that's just one thing that I had to remind myself of.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, teaching is a lot. You have to realize that you are shaping their worldview as well in some way. For I'm sure that there's been times where like students come to you and like,
Yeah.
you know, this class has been amazing.
Yes.
You really changed my outlook of how I do. Because I remember when I was back in college, there's specific teachers that I thought about. I was like, yeah, like I like how they helped. I like the way that they taught the class, and I like the way it made it more fun and enjoyable to like, and more hopeful as well to kind of like know that okay, this is the job field that I'm going in, and they give me
Yeah.
more of like a realistic like outlook on life essentially.
When you're up there and then like, because when I'm up there, sometimes I'm just in the zone, like teaching the lesson or whatever. But like when you catch somebody's face and they're like holding on to every word that you're saying, you can see it in their eyes. That can be a little scary because you're like, I got to do this right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I appreciate moments like that. And then I have had students come up and be like, one student actually, shout out to her. She was like, I want to be a producer, but I also like animals. So I'm going to look into getting trained as a vet tech too. I'm like, that's incredible. Like, do all the things you want to do.
Yeah. Has any of them ever come back to you and like, oh, it's been 4 years now, so I'm sure. So, I'm sure you taught seniors at that time or something like that. Has anybody come back and it's like, oh, I found success and
They're like, help us find jobs. It's hard out here because it is.
Yeah,
The music industry is wild right now.
yeah.
But
What do you see some changes in that? I've seen stuff like AI. I'm seeing people like AI artists now.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to do
Yeah.
AI voices and like things
Yeah.
like that. Like how is that changing the music industry?
So I think it's going to change how people create music. I don't think AI is going to replace anyone just yet in terms of jobs or actual artists, but it's going to change how people create things and maybe how you work in your day to day. I think what we saw these past couple of years is that a lot of the big labels like laid off a lot of people, and they dropped a lot of artists. During the pandemic, there was TikTok had just started. There was a lot of viralness to artists. And so it's just a much leaner industry now. And I think it's a lot harder to kind of get your foot in the door these days unless you have like a direct connection.
Yeah, I've been seeing. I mean, people have been getting like back in the day, SoundCloud days, but now it seems like SoundCloud is not becoming like. Well, not SoundCloud. It's like now TikTok is now becoming like a SoundCloud where you're seeing a lot of like smaller artists just going viral on TikTok, and their song is getting picked up. People are using it for reels and doing silly dances to it and things like that. So I do find like it probably seems a little bit easier to.
For artists, I do think you have more tools now than ever to like get yourself out there and use all the different platforms. You just have to be consistent with it. But you can build your brand, your company, your fan base all from your phone. Like there's this artist from the Bay called Russell. I love him so much. But he started off throwing like parties in his backyard, and he started charging people. I think his last he did like 100 copies of his last project and sold them for like $10,000 each, and people bought them.
He sold 100 copies for $10,000.
Yeah, but that's the same thing Nipsey did too. Got the bottom of his trunk. So I think if you build that community, like
it's kind of it's rare, right? It's not like you're making
a
million copies to sell. It's like people want to feel like, oh, I have Lil Russell's 1 out of 100 copies that he made, and you're not gonna hear it.
yeah. But figuring out how to monetize the fans that you already do have, like you got 2 million followers, like figure out how to get a 10% of that.
Yeah,
and you're good as an artist.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Cause even on YouTube, right? I see a lot of DJs. They will have their sets just playing. That they'll upload it on YouTube, and you go to a party and people literally just have like a DJ set on YouTube, just playing in the background, and just. They're just getting royalties off it. Right? Like they're getting view time, you're getting watch time. So that's another way to kind of like monetize your. That's another way to kind of monetize your your skill without necessarily like signing to like a big label or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I've always loved like I always told myself like maybe one day I want to own a record studio. That's always been my biggest thing. Like I would always repeat it to myself. I always like I've always thought
You
about
in the
music.
studio making the hits.
Yeah, I'm,
That sounds like trash.
but I mean, as we wind up, I know you said your biggest goal for Win-Win is to get into Wegmans next year. Well, where do you see yourself in the next? What do you see Win-Win in the next 3 to 5 years?
I th- I definitely want to be in more national retailers. So looking at like at Wegmans, probably for the East Coast, and then maybe I don't know if I want. I'm thinking for Whole Foods, I'm just going to start in the East Coast and see how it goes before looking to expand into the whole nation, unless it goes really well.
Yeah,
You know, unless we get, I don't know, unless we go viral, then
yeah,
you might see me everywhere.
yeah.
But I want to take the scaling slow. I want to do it intentionally, and I want to do it to where it makes sense for the brand and for me.
What systems have you started putting any systems in place to make sure that you scale it intentionally? And,
Yes. So I was mentioning a little bit earlier. So I've been looking for partners to like co-roast and co-pack and to help with the scale once we're there. And I think I realized that like I do like being involved in my company in the day to day and roasting and doing all the things, but when you're building a brand, you have to do so much other things. Like you have
yeah.
to do content, you have to do marketing, you have to do meetings, all these things. And so at first I was against having like partners do it, but I'm like, no, it's still my brand.
Yeah.
If I have like a partner, I give them the roasting profile and they're doing what I tell them to do, or I give them my bags and they put my beans in it. That's fine. And they get their cut and they do the work and I don't have to do it. That's okay. That's
So that
how.
so that's like other coffee brands.
So it's like people just roast coffee for other brands. So all those big brands you see on the shelf, they're probably not actually involved in the day-to-day roasting, packaging of the coffee at this point, once you're that big.
Yeah.
Same probably for a lot of food businesses. You're not actually involved in the day-to-day. You're outsourcing it to other partners
Yeah.
who do the co-packing for you.
Okay. So when you do that, okay, you just said that you give them the coffee profile and they'll just do their best to match it, or
They'll match it.
they'll match it. Okay. All they need is the
It's
profile.
fire and beans.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
heat and some coffee
Yeah,
beans.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you tell them like what, how long you're
How
supposed
long to
to
roast it?
roast
Like,
it,
yeah, you could. There's actually like you could put like the parameters, the temperatures, for the profile that you want from the coffee.
So does it matter if you change the type of roaster you use, essentially?
It can, but they'll do test batches
Okay.
before they just ship it out. They'll test it, like they'll taste your coffee, and then they'll roasting. There's like an art to it. So a roaster will be able to. They'll look at the parameters and they'll be able to taste it and figure out what they need to do to get it there.
So did you learn how to? I know you said you learned how to do it, but like, did you practice? How long did you practice for before you're like, okay, I'm ready to start roasting?
It was like a month.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
I'm over here thinking so.
like what?
You were in the lab just cooking for years.
No, no, it's literally there's like obviously best practices depending on if you want a light, medium, or dark roast.
Yeah.
Like light roast, you're not going to roast it for as long. Dark roast, you're going to roast it for longer. And so it's just finding the in betweens, and it's trial and error.
So how does someone get a decaf? I'm sorry, I'm very interested.
So fun fact:
How does somebody make a decaf coffee?
decaf still has a little bit of caffeine in it because you
Okay.
can't 100% remove it, and so there are processes where you can soak the bean in some type of alcohol, and it'll remove and strip the caffeine from the bean, but it won't take all of it out.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a process to strip out the
Strip
caffeine.
it out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's pretty cool. So if somebody was looking to start a coffee brand, what advice would you give them? Or if somebody was just willing to pivot to all the different things that you do in your life? Yeah.
Start small. Start small. I'm actually talking to a friend who worked with a very big artist, and he wants to start a coffee brand. And he already set up the website. He already set up the Instagram. He's already selling merch. He's trying to do like 10 different coffees, 10 different bags. And I'm like, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's start with one bag, one signature, whatever for your brand. See how that goes. See how you like it, because now you're going to have to start promoting the brand and do all these things, and then move on to other profiles. Like start simple, start small, test it out, see how it goes, and then see if you need to change anything. I think we always want to go hard, like
Yeah.
at something, especially when we're very excited about it. But it's okay to like start small.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's really the best advice that you can always give somebody when they're trying to start a brand. Because a lot of times people will always reach out to me and say, "Hey, I want to start a clothing brand," and I'm like, "All right, cool. Like, what do you want to start with?" They're sending me socks, they're sending me tees, they're sending me hoodies, they're sending me pants. I'm like, you got to start with just like
Yeah,
1 to 2 items and
yeah,
like try to sell that first before you want to expand to something else, because by the time you're trying to promote every single thing that you're trying to do, you're just going to burn out. You're
yeah,
not going to be interested, because you're not you're not going to, first of all, you're not going to see the sales come in, so that's already a psychological thing going on. And
yeah,
then you're trying to promote 10 different things,
yeah.
it's not just going
You're
to
gonna
work
be
out.
seeing all this merch and product and be like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's why you bought all this merchant
oh
product, and
yeah,
it's like it's not moving because I'm trying to promote so many things. So like that's always the best advice that I think you can give anybody that has like mo- anybody that wants to start a brand that has multiple service line as well. Um, how many coffee profiles are you up to now?
so 5. I
Five.
think I'm gonna add a new one this year, but
Okay.
we kept it small. Like I didn't know. Like I want to have these signature coffees. People like them. People know them.
Yeah.
Because even when we're launching in Giant, we did 4 in Giant. Giant was like, you should have 10 different ones. I was like, I understand because it's the it's more appealing if people see all that coffee in a row on a shelf. But I'm
Yeah.
like, no. I'm
No.
like, we're gonna start with these 4,
Yeah.
and then
And
keep
that's how
these 4.
and that's how your margins is like start to eat up at you. It's
Yeah,
like trying to make
it's too
10
much. Yeah,
different
yeah.
items. Yeah. So couple rapid fire questions for you. What's the most slept on part of the coffee game?
The most slept on part is anytime you could travel to go visit a farmer, do it. I haven't been able to get to Africa yet. That's on my list for the end of this year, but I've been to Colombia and Brazil. Anytime you can visit a farmer, do it.
Just go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean traveling is you need to get out there and
yeah.
travel. Yeah. Your dream brand collab for Win Win Coffee.
Ooh, dream brand collaboration. I would love to do something. Okay, so I'm throwing this out there. I'd love to do something with Pusha T because he started a coffee brand.
Oh really?
And he did like one pop up. And I actually reached out to his team and there was some back and forth, but then they dropped the album. And I feel like,
The album was
but I would love to do like a coffee drop with him.
yeah. That's awesome. The best concert or performance you've ever been to.
My best concert, probably Kendrick 10 years ago, or 11 years ago when Good Kid, Mad City first came out. And he was new, fresh. It was just an incredible tour.
Where was that at?
I saw him somewhere in New York.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Quote that you live by.
Do it scared.
Do it scared. I like
Yeah.
that. That's nice. And the one thing that you haven't figured out yet, but it's actively just being worked on, and that's okay.
Okay. One thing that I'm going to figure out, I haven't figured out, is I need to drive again. Living in Philly. So I lived in New York for all those years.
Yeah.
I still have a driver's license. I just
Yeah.
haven't driven a car in 12, 13 years. But I need to drive again.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need to. You live in Philly, so it's like it's a very walkable city
It
too.
is. It's the most walkable city.
Yeah.
Public transit isn't bad depending on the stop. Like SEPTA is actually reliable, affordable. I wish we could just clean it.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah.
Philly has a lot of, what I think I love about, this is going into what I love about Philly, is that it has that major city infrastructure, but you're still able to make really great connections with people,
Yeah.
like in the community, like the friendship we have.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I think is keeping me here, is
I
that sense
love
of
Philly.
community. Yeah.
It's an amazing city. I don't think I've ever seen myself. I want to buy a house in Thailand, but outside of that, that's the only. This is the only place I
I'm
see
thinking,
myself.
because sometimes I'm like, I feel like I'm nomadic. Like I moved to New York from St. Louis because I always wanted to live in New York. Moved here for the business and then found my life here. I kind of want to spend some time in DC and just kind of keep going down
It's a nice area.
the
Yeah.
corridor,
I
and
love DC.
But for now, I'm here. I'm in
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah. Nikisha, I appreciate you, pulling up, having this conversation with me. This was a great conversation. I learned a lot about you and Win-Win Coffee and
Thank
where
you.
you want to go with it. So where can the people find you at? On social media or wherever you want them to reach you at?
Yes, you can find the coffee brand, Win Win Coffee, on Instagram. We do a little TikTok. It's at Win Win Coffee _ and on LinkedIn and Instagram, you can find me. Just type in Nikisha Bailey, Nikisha Bailey. Feel free to message me any questions you have about coffee, music, life, anything, and I'm pretty good at responding. But give me like maybe a day or two.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching Beyond the Brand. I appreciate you all, pulling up and watching this. Make sure you please like and subscribe and drop any comment on the bottom of the video, any questions that you might have, and who you might be interested in seeing, what type of brand you're interested in seeing, and I'll do my best to reach out and get somebody on the show. Thank you
Somebody
again.
better ask where Majorie got this flat fit, though, in the comments.
Yeah, I
Showed up
appreciate it.
swaggy.
Yeah, I gotta, but yeah, thank you all.
All right, thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.